Module 2. What are my college's copyright practices based on? This video simplifies a very complex subject. This video is not a substitute for legal advice, which should be sought in cases where the application of general principles is unclear. Have you been told to follow your college's copyright guidelines a million times? Do you know why it's so important? Well, your college's copyright guidelines are based on Canada's Copyright Act, a federal statute, as well as Canadian copyright case law. Let's look at the basics of the Act, which you may recognize from your college's copyright guidelines or practices. The Copyright Act gives copyright holders prescribed control over copying and other uses of their work. It's not all one-sided, though. There are exceptions in the Act that allows copyright users, such as educators, to use copyrighted protected work without permission from the copyright holder, under certain circumstances. At this point, you may be thinking, why aren't all works free for everyone to use and share? Why do we need to protect copyright holders? Well, by giving copyright holders the rights to control certain uses of their works, they're given the opportunity to make money and to protect how their creations are used. This encourages innovation and creation in our society. What sorts of works are protected? The Copyright Act protects artistic, dramatic, literary, or musical works, as well as sound recordings, performances, and communication signals. That means lots of work you use every day are protected by copyright, such as articles, plays, songs, art, photographs, computer code, and movies. These are all examples of works protected by copyright. It's important to note that copyright protects works regardless of their format. For example, both print and digital books are protected by copyright. In order for these works to qualify for copyright protection, two conditions have to be met. First, the work must be original, which means that some level of creativity was involved in its creation. Second, the work must be fixed to a format like words on a page, graphics in a digital file, or the sound on an audio recording. If these two conditions are met, then copyright protection is automatic. Creators don't have to register their work, and they are not required to use the copyright symbol. They can choose to do both, but they don't actually have to do either. If it's original and fixed to a format, does that mean it's protected by copyright forever? No. The Copyright Act recognizes that society wouldn't benefit from works that were perpetually protected by copyright. So in Canada, copyright generally lasts for the life of the work's creator, plus 70 years after their death. When that period of time lapses, the work is no longer protected by copyright, and it enters into the public domain, where its use is free and unrestricted. Is there anything that can't be protected by copyright? Yes. By themselves, facts and ideas are not protected. Remember, only original works fixed to a format can be protected. An idea for a film isn't protected until it's written down as a film script or made into a film. And facts, such as numbers, are not protected until someone rearranges them into, say, a table or Sudoku puzzle. As an educator, you probably copy from copyrighted works quite frequently. That's why it's so important that you follow your college's copyright practices. Your college's copying practices likely provide specific examples and instructions to ensure you're copying within the law, as well as providing information on any license agreements your colleges enter into. If you're not sure about how copyright protected works can be used for teaching purposes, ask the person designated by your college to answer copyright questions. Your college library is a great place to start.